The morning light was soft, just beginning to break through the dense trees that lined the edge of the desert. It was the kind of morning that promised heat, but for now the air was cool and comfortable. Ethan, a seasoned entomologist, squatted in the sand, his eyes scanning the ground with focused intensity. His tools, small brushes, vials, and a magnifying glass, were neatly arranged beside him, ready for whatever he might uncover. Today, he wasn't looking for any ordinary insect. He had come all the way out here to study one of nature's more elusive and fascinating creatures, the antlion. The creature, despite its name, was neither an ant nor a lion. It was, in fact, the larval stage of a species of damselfly. But to anyone unfamiliar with the details, the name made perfect sense. The antlion's method of hunting was nothing short of spectacular, and its appearance only added to its mystique. With its conical trap of sand, it was a master of ambush, waiting patiently for its prey to wander too close. The prey, usually an unfortunate ant, would stumble into the trap and be dragged beneath the surface, where the antlion would devour it. Ethan had been fascinated by these creatures since his youth. The first time he had read about them in an old textbook, he had been captivated by their patience, their engineering, and their predatory behavior. Now, years later, he found himself in the very landscape where these creatures thrived, hoping to learn more about their elusive nature. The desert was quiet, save for the occasional rustling of the wind and the distant calls of birds. He moved quietly, careful not to disturb the sand too much, until he spotted the first trap. It was small, only a few inches across, but the telltale funnel shape was unmistakable. Ethan's heart skipped a beat in excitement. He dropped to his knees, gently brushing away the loose sand to get a clearer view. He knew the antlion was likely lurking just beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to strike. His mind raced with thoughts of the possibilities. What would he discover today? Could he observe one of these creatures in action? His excitement grew as he noticed more traps, scattered across the sandy expanse like hidden treasures. He had found a prime location, one that was teeming with the tiny predators. As he moved from one trap to the next, his thoughts were interrupted by the crunch of sand beneath his feet. He froze. Something had changed in the air, a shift in the atmosphere, as if the desert itself had suddenly become more alive. Ethan slowly turned his head, scanning the horizon. Nothing seemed amiss, but the feeling lingered. Pushing the thought aside, he focused back on his task. As he leaned over the next trap, his eyes widened. The sand near the edge of the funnel had shifted. Something was moving beneath it. Ethan's pulse quickened. He carefully placed a finger on the edge of the sand, feeling the vibrations. Tiny, rapid shakes. It was an antlion, and it was preparing to strike. He couldn't resist. He watched intently, his breath held, as a tiny ant wandered too close to the edge of the trap. The ant, oblivious to the danger, skittered into the sand pit. In a flash, the ground beneath the ant seemed to give way. It fell, and with startling speed, the antlion shot up from the depths of the trap, its long, sharp mandibles closing around the ant in one swift motion. Ethan's mouth went dry as he watched the antlion drag its prey deeper into the sand. The entire process had taken mere seconds. He had witnessed nature at its most brutal and efficient. The feeling of awe was overwhelming. It was a perfect demonstration of survival, a perfect moment in the cycle of life and death. He took out his notebook, his hands slightly trembling as he scribbled down notes. The trap's construction, the ambush, the speed, it was all part of the greater mystery of the antlion's hunting technique. He knew that he was watching something few people ever got to see up close, and that made the experience even more special. As the day wore on, Ethan continued to explore the desert, moving from one trap to the next. But with each discovery, a strange sense of unease began to grow. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. The air around him felt heavier now, the once calm wind beginning to whip through the trees with more force. The sky was clouding over, dark clouds gathering on the horizon, and Ethan couldn't help but wonder if the desert had a way of sensing his presence. Just as he was preparing to examine another trap, a sound echoed through the air. A deep, rumbling noise, like thunder in the distance. But there was no storm. Not yet, anyway. The sound grew louder, and Ethan's heart began to race. He looked around, trying to make sense of it. What was causing it? Suddenly, the ground beneath his feet trembled. The sand shifted and rumbled, as if something huge was moving beneath the earth. Ethan staggered, nearly losing his balance. He quickly scanned the area, but there was nothing to explain the disturbance. He had to find cover, he realized. Something was wrong. Whatever was causing the tremors was closing in fast. His instincts kicked in, and he bolted towards the nearest rock formation, his breath coming in sharp gasps. The desert was eerily quiet now, the earlier sounds of the wind and birds replaced by an unsettling stillness. As he reached the rock, the ground gave way beneath him, and he stumbled, his foot slipping into a large crack in the earth. He cried out in shock as his body plunged into the darkness below. For a few heart-stopping moments, he flailed, his hands scraping against the sides of the narrow crack, but he managed to grab onto a protruding rock and stop his fall. Panting, he steadied himself, the fear slowly subsiding as he realized he hadn't fallen too far. But the tremors, the rumbling, they hadn't stopped. The ground seemed to be alive, vibrating with an energy he couldn't explain. Ethan pulled himself up carefully, using his legs to push against the sides of the crack. As he climbed back to the surface, the air felt thick, oppressive. And then, suddenly, there was a flash of movement, something huge and dark, moving rapidly beneath the ground. It was too fast for him to track, but it was enough to fill him with dread. What was it? What could move so quickly beneath the earth without leaving a trace? A deep, unsettling growl echoed from the depths, and Ethan felt a surge of panic flood through him. He wasn't alone out here. Whatever it was coming for him. His thoughts raced. He had to get out of the desert, back to safety, before whatever was lurking beneath the surface could reach him. With one last look at the surrounding landscape, he ran, not daring to look back. The desert was no longer a place of awe for him. It was a place of danger, of creatures he couldn't understand, moving beneath the surface, waiting to strike.